This is Al's workshop from Bangkok. I'm going to start making some more pieces for my project today. This involves, for the milling machine, 2 bushes and operating the forge yaw to machine a boss on a rectangular piece of aluminium. So there's quite a lot of different processes on these 2 pieces. So let's have a look at the drawing and make a start. Hi, this is Al's workshop. So as you can see, we've got the item in question. There's a brass bush, there's a round spigot to be machined in the forge yaw. There's a 6mm reamed hole. This is where the brass bush goes. It's a 7mm by a 5mm brass bush, and we've got the 2mm oil all through at 45 degrees going into the brass bush. Yep, so that's a 5mm hole, and the piece is going to be made from aluminium. These are both aluminium pieces that I've prepared ready for the piece, and that's the top of the piece. So there's going to be lathe work and milling machine work and some drilling and reaming and some filing and polishing. So let's go to the piece, what it actually does. That's the 6mm hole, reamed hole, which is the guide, and there's the pin that will go through the brass bush, and there's the 5mm locking nut for the piston rod, and there's the which drives the piston, and then there's the crank rod connected to the crank, and there's the pin that's going to be lubricated. So let's go to the first operation, and where first of all we're going to machine a square surface. We're just going to clean the surface up and make it nice and flat, and then we can turn the piece round and machine it to 17mm width. So we're just taking the clean up cuts, and I'm holding both pieces in the chuck because they're nice surfaces, the 2 flat surfaces. So now we've turned the piece round and we're going to skim the surface, and once we've cleaned that surface, we're going to take a measurement and we're going to set the Z-axis to 0, so that we've machined the surface and we've measured them, and now we're going to set it to 0, the Z-axis, so we can use that for the depth. So we've roughed that out now, and we've taken it to its final cuts. And then we'll move to the next operation. I'm currently using a 16mm end mill. It's a mini mill machine, so I found that the 16mm end mill is quite sufficient. So now we're going to clean these surfaces up using the side of the end mill. So we can't take big cuts with this, so we're going to give these surfaces a clean, and then we can place them on a parallel in the vise and use the bottom of the end mill, which is a stronger cutter. So this is just cleaning up these faces now. As you can see, we're holding both pieces together in the vise. And now we are going to machine to the 23mm length, making the length. So we place them on, machine those surfaces, place them on parallels, and we're currently being able to take the 2mm cut. So we're currently taking 2mm. If we was using the side of the end mill, it would mainly only take up to 0.5mm on the mini mill to be on the safe side, but we've been able to bring it down to size. Okay, so we've machined all the sizes required, and now we're going to drill the hole for the bush. So we placed the item in the vise, and we've used a parallel to line the piece up in the vise, so we can, once we've set the dimension, we can repeat the operation by just placing the next one in the vise and using the parallel to line it up to the end of the vise. And so we're going to, we've marked the piece, so we're going to move it to the correct position. Now I tend to do this twice, so I'll let the warbler offset itself and do it twice, and we'll set it to 0, do it again and see if it comes to 0, just to be on the safe side. So now we're in the right position, and now we're going to drill the hole in the workpiece. So as you can see, that's lined up with the end of the jaws, so the next piece will go to the same position. I currently don't have a 7mm reamer, so I'm drilling it 6.5 and then I'm going to drill it 7mm. So I'm going to use the drill because I can machine the bush to fit the hole, although sometimes doing it this way it is quite accurate. So now we're going to use the 7mm drill to go through for the bush. And just out of interest, we're going to measure, and as you can see, 6.99 to 7mm. It's actually drilled it very accurate. And so the next piece will just go in the vise and be lined up and drill the same. So now we place a piece of brass in the lathe. As you can see, we've set the lathe tool up to the centre, faced off, and I've roughed the diameter down to about 7.5 and currently drill the hole. So I'm drilling a 4.5mm hole in, and then now we are doing a final cut. So we've measured we're just doing a final skim on the outside diameter after we have drilled it, just to make sure we've got it nice and round. And then when that's complete, we will clean that face up with some emery cloth So we've cleaned the face, so we're going to offer the piece up now. So we've just started, just made a little taper there. We're just going to measure that, and as you can see, that's within 1/2 thousandth of an inch of 7mm, and we've got a little taper of a 0.04. Okay, so that's good enough to press in. So now we're going to, as you can see there with the Allen key, I tend to tighten the cross slide up to stop any vibration when we're piping off, and it always helps on the mini. So okay, we've parted off, and now we're going to press the bush in using the vise, and there we go. So now we've got the bush pressed in about 0.02 and 0.03 taper, so it interference fit. So now we're going to place back in the vise into the same position we had before, because we've not moved the milling machine, so we're setting it up in exactly the same position as the drill was in. We've not moved any settings, and we're going to just ream this to 5mm. So we've got a 5mm reamer, and we're just going to go through, and so we've got the same position, it's all stayed the same, it's just to save time, and we're just going to go through with the 5mm reamer. Oops, so we just need to move the parallel. That's gone through nicely, so we'll do the other one as well with the same setting. Now we're going to machine the step so that we can turn the bush. So we're just milling the step out so we can then the next stage will be the 4-jaw. Again, just using the 16mm end mill. I'm taking shorter cuts off here, only taking about 0.5mm cut. I'm holding in the jaws, no parallels, it's just in the cutout in the jaws. So I'm just being careful with the step. We'll just machine that, and then this will be ready to go into the lathe with the 4-jaw chuck. So we're nearly there now. So currently we've machined all the sides, and we've fit the brass bush, that's all completed. Carried out the reaming. So now this one's complete. So now that's ready to be turned in the lathe. So currently we've taken out the 3-jaw from the lathe, and we're fitting the adapter plate to the 4-jaw. And the 4-jaw's got different hole positions. As you can see there's 3 holes for the 3-jaw, and there's 4 holes for the 4-jaw. So we're going to we've fit that to there. So now we've got changed the adapter to the 4-jaw, and so now that fits onto the lathe like that. We will have to bring that off a little bit to get the washers and the nuts in, but that's, I'm just showing the how quite comfortable it is to change. Okay, so now we've got our piece in the 4-jaw, and we're just making each side equal. It doesn't have to be mega accurate, it's only a boss, it doesn't meet up with anything, so we're just going to make each side equal. As you can see there, just with the lathe tool, and then we're going to finish machining that down. Well, that's worked out okay. Carefully just skim out, then it's all equal. And there we go, we've got our stub machined, and then now we just put in the 6mm reamer through the piece, and then here we go, we've got this angle to machine now. So I've marked the angle and I'm currently just lining it up with a parallel. So and we've just machine down to the line. It's not really important, it doesn't have to be dead accurate, and also I can file it. Okay, so now we're going to drill the 2mm hole at 45 degrees into the brass bush for the lubrication of the crank pin that's going to go through that bush, so we can place some lubrication into it. I'm currently using a 4-flute slot drill, 2mm, because we're going in at an angle, so it would push a drill off. So carefully gone into that, and what I did was I just lined it all up by eye into the centre of the brass bush, and then moved over into the centre of the workpiece and carefully just measured it. Practically did it by eye, it's only to lubricate, but it seemed to work out okay. So we're going through the aluminium now. I think we've come, can you see the brass? The brass is coming out now, so we're going into the brass bush. So we're just going to go through the brass bush now. Okay, sorry about the cow and angle there, but yes, so we can see all the brass and aluminium. Oops, apologise about that. As you can see, we've got the hole through now at 45, and just repeat for the next one. So these are the two components. With the needle file, I've filed the radius, and I've cleaned and deburred, and you can see that the oil all through there at 45, and the 6mm reamed hole, 5mm M5 hole there in the top. Quite happy with that. Well, that's really good, so hope you enjoyed that, and hope to see you next time, and I hope you're all well.